Okay, so now we're going to talk about gel and gel-like products. So this is what I use. My favorite is the Diva Curl Ultra Defining Gel. It is expensive, but I like it a lot. And that is because it is a stronghold gel that doesn't form as much of a cast. So a lot of really stronghold gels, as they dry, they will dry hard. They're forming essentially like a cast around your hair. And what you have to do is you have to not touch your hair while it is still wet. Don't touch your hair. Don't do it. You have to wait for it to dry completely, 100% bone dry all the way through. And then you do that sort of squish to condish scrunching motion and you break the gel cast. And at that point, your hair is soft and bouncy and shiny and exactly like you want it to look. But it takes a while either to diffuse your hair all the way dry or to let it air dry completely. For me, that takes a while. So I have found that the Diva Curl Gel allows it to dry. And I do need to scrunch out a little bit. It gets a little bit crunchy, but not nearly as much as some of the other gels. A really popular gel is the LA Looks Extreme Sport Blue Gel. You get it at like Walgreens for $4. That's the gel that we all used in the 1990s to get ramen hair, just like Justin Timberlake. That forms a hard gel cast. And in the 90s, we never broke the cast. We just left it like that. And that was not a great look. But turns out, once it dries, you break it up and it's great. I do sometimes use that if I'm just going about my day, going grocery shopping, and I don't really care how my hair looks until later, then I use that, but I found that I really like the Diva Curl Gel, so that is something that I do spend money on. Then there are also things like mousses. Mousse, I find doesn't work great for me because mousse doesn't have as strong of a hold as gel does. And so there is a range in light hold, medium hold, strong hold with gels, and then mousses are below that. So some people who have super curly hair, they use mousse and that's all they use and their hair looks great. If I just use mousse, my curls don't hold. So I use gel. There are also other things like leave-in conditioners and creams and custards and things like that, and they're essentially to help your hair stay frizz-free. It helps to define the curl, so essentially it looks like you have one nice curl and not like a frizz of curly hair. And I've played around with a bunch of these. Jury's still out for me, honestly, as to whether it actually helps. I use them sometimes I don't, and I haven't really figured out if anything actually helps or if I just like the way they smell. But these are some of the things that I have. I have this Kinky Curly Curling Custard. I have Diva Curl Super Cream. I have this Talia Wajid Curly Curl Cream, and also the Curl Sealer by the same brand. And those are things that I've bought and I haven't hated. I also bought and tried a bunch of other things that I didn't really like, and ended up either giving them to somebody else or just not using them. And those are the ones that I still use regularly, but not always. Sort of depends, A, how lazy I am, or B, if I'm trying stuff. And honestly, yeah, like I said, I haven't really figured out if any of them actually help, or if I just like the texture and like the smell. All right, so next is the awesome Dyson Blow Dryer. It is amazing, it's expensive, but it's the best thing that I've bought in a long time and I like it a lot. So this diffuser bowl on the front, that is what we want to use. So what the diffuser does is it takes the air pressure and it expands it so that way you don't have like a blast of air right at your head blowing your hair all over. And also the bowl allows you to cup your hair in it and support the curls while it's drying. So it's super easy to use. There's this little switch on the back. I hold my diffuser in one place. So essentially here's what I do. Let me explain to you how I use this. I take out my plop. I take the diffuser bowl. I cup hair in it. I hold it to my head and then I turn it on. And I keep it here, not moving, for 30 seconds to a minute. If it gets too hot, there's this little button on the back that you can press to make the air cold. And there are also these buttons here to change the heat or the air pressure. So essentially what I do is I put it here, turn it on for a minute or two, turn it off. And then I move it to the next piece of hair, turn it on, let it hold there, turn it off. And the reason for this is because the more you move the blow dryer while your hair is wet, the more you will disturb your curl pattern, the more you'll mess up the gel, and it just gets frizzier. So that is the first way you can diffuse, is that sort of cupping, holding, turning it on, turning it off. The second way some people diffuse is they literally just hold it next to their curls but not touching at all. They don't touch it at all while it's wet. That works for a lot of people. I find that, like I said, the weight of my hair being wet pulls my curls out before it can dry. So I don't really do that method. I mostly support while it dries. So this is how I put my gel in. First I take off my rings. Then I take my gel. You're going to want to use more gel than you think is necessary. You put the gel in your hand. I use about this much at first. I don't think you guys can really see that. And then I sort of put it on the whole shaft of my hair, scrunch it up a little bit. Need a little bit more for this side. Put it all the way down my hair. I try not to disrupt the curls too much, which I'm gonna brush my hair in a second, so I guess that's a little ridiculous. Some people, what they do is they put the gel on their hands and then they press their hands flat and pull down. And they do that so that way they distribute gel down the whole hair shaft evenly. And then they just sort of scrunch up their hair at the end. I find that it hasn't worked great for me, but try it out. Next, I use my brush again. This step is optional. A lot of people do not do this step, but I found that I like it. So what I do is I brush the gel through my hair to distribute and break up some of the curl clumps. I go into this more in the guide that I'm giving you guys as to why I do this. You can also do fancy pants things with the brush to help your curl pattern. You can sort of curl it a little bit with the brush like this. Some people do that every day. Some people don't do it at all. I do it sometimes when I'm being fancy, and other times, never. But mostly I just use the brush to get the gel through and to break up my hair a little bit, and then I scrunch it back up to help my hair curl back up again afterwards, because I sort of pulled it straight with the brush. I think I need a little bit more gel. All right, next step is a key step that I didn't really think about at first. You got gel in your hands, right? Wash your hands. Because if you don't, you get gel on everything, and then you're like, why are all the surfaces in my bathroom disgusting? It's because you got gel on everything. All right, so now I'm going to show you the first part of diffusing my hair. It takes a while, so I'm only going to show you the first part because you don't need to watch 20 minutes of me diffusing my hair. So I'm going to show you a little bit, turn off the video, come back and show you another thing called root clipping. All right, this is how I do it. Said, don't move the diffuser while it's on, always turn it off in between. I usually leave it for longer, but for the sake of the video. So basically do that all the way around my head, several times, waiting for my hair to be dry. So you're going to want to dry it as much as you want it dry. I often only dry it halfway and then let it air dry the rest of the way. But you can dry it all the way, especially if you have one of those gels that forms a cast. If you dry it all the way, then you can break the cast right away before you leave the house. Okay, so I'm going to get my hair a little more dry, and then I'm going to come back and show you guys root clipping.